my
Oh,
guest
okay.
tonight, yeah, my guest tonight on the show is a friend of mine, a big fan of horror games. He's also a wonderful person and a mentor to most of us, focusing on horror variety with a lot of giggles and shenanigans, either in chat or in games. He's also known to troll people, so watch out for him.
Hmm.
He's also one of the nicest people I've come across on the platform. All the way from the UK, tonight's episode is another banter and fun-filled one. Please welcome my friend JR, better known as JR underscore Cash1 on Twitch. Welcome to episode 6 of Twitch Tea Time.
Oh, thank you. That's quite the introduction.
Yeah. So, as I always say, in this space, we will talk about everything from gaming to Twitch to social media life, 2023, plans for 2024, as well as some mental health topics and more. So just grab a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Uh, our first segment is the road to Twitch and gaming. First things first, tell me, how are you doing today?
uh, right now in this moment, I'm doing fantastic.
That's good.
Just before this, I spoke to a very dear friend of mine from Canada,
Hmm.
where I'm actually from. I do live in the UK.
Yeah.
We've been friends for over 20 years, and
Oh,
it's one of those friendships where you keep in
yeah.
touch from time to time, and
Yeah.
we haven't talked in at least a year, so it was amazing, and I love that we keep in touch.
Yeah, same here.
So I'm on a high.
My best friend's birthday was yesterday, so I had a chance to like catch up with him since he's in the Emirates, like in the Arab Emirates right now. He's working. So
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen him in like 2, 3 years maybe. I've known him for like 28 years. So
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah. But also, can you tell us a little bit about how you discovered Twitch, how you decided to become a streamer, and how things worked out for you?
Sure. I discovered Twitch through, well, Markiplier really, not directly, but I
Yeah,
think most gamers know of him.
yeah, of
And
course.
I followed his YouTube videos, and he was playing this game called Phasmophobia. And as you know, it's my favorite game to play.
Uh-huh.
And as algorithms go, like as soon as I saw this game,
Yeah,
I just thought I need to have this in my life. I've never seen anything like it. It was so unique and such. So
mhm,
as algorithms go, that linked to another streamer called Insim, and he had a bunch more videos. And at the end of each of his videos, he kept talking about Twitch, and I'm like, what the hell is this Twitch he keeps talking about? And then I saw a link, and I went to it, and I thought, oh, okay, so what is this? I didn't know of it, didn't understand it, and I even went through. Why would I want to watch other people play games? I want to play games and I want to play them with other people, but why would I want to watch somebody play it? But then I started watching people play Phasmophobia, and quickly I realized, oh, okay, I get it. I can learn from other people. It's a great way of meeting other gamers and like-minded people and communities. And yeah, it kind of branched out from there, and all the different people I connected with
mhm,
through Twitch
yeah,
at one point or another in the early days started with Phasmophobia, and then they were streaming, and then they would say, oh, you should stream. And I was like, I don't know if I want to get into this. And honestly, I had reservations about it. There's when you put yourself out there, there's pros and cons to that. And I
yeah,
wasn't quite sure.
yeah.
I tend to be quite private and such, bit of an introvert. So I wasn't sure that was where I wanted to be. At the same time, I recognized the importance of stretching myself constantly. So I decided to give it a go, but I started off as a VTuber because it was
Yeah, yeah.
let's say, a safer way.
I do remember seeing some clips of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
how did you like switch from a VTuber to just like using Facecam?
Well, once I realized it was fine, I mean, being a VTuber, it helped me also get the lay of the land, when you have to figure out things like OBS, and, I had to do tons of research and studying and all that. And then I got comfortable with it. Um, I, the one thing I didn't like about being a VTuber is I didn't like not being there, like being out there. So I started by putting my real photos so at least people knew who I was. There was something about that that felt a bit disingenuine to me. And I'm only talking about my own experience. I'm not judging others who do it for their own reasons. So once I felt comfortable and I realized it's fine, I can deal with this,
Hmm.
that's when I discovered, okay, well, then I literally want to. And of course, then you have to get the equipment, and I had to move
Yeah,
house
yeah,
because where I was living before, it wouldn't have been possible. Whereas here, I have my own little office space, so I could set up more properly rather than having a little table in my bedroom where during COVID, that's
yeah,
where, I was doing it initially.
yeah. So do you? I'm guessing it's Phasmophobia, but like, do you remember what was the first game you ever decided to stream? If it, of course, Phasmophobia,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it answered itself. So,
So you're going to
um,
ask me the first game I ever played.
okay, let's go with that.
Oh my God. Um,
Let's say, yeah, sorry, you ever played as an
I'll,
adult, if you want to make it easier.
well, no, I'll go back to my childhood
Okay,
because,
no
that,
problem.
some people of my generation will relate and others will be like, what the hell is that? But,
Yeah,
first of all, I've been open on my streams that I grew up in foster care. And I can remember in my third foster home, they had a Commodore 64 computer,
hmm. Oh,
which
yeah,
back in those days was the ultimate gaming computer. And I still have lots of fond memories. And also in those days, there was a magazine, a computer magazine, like I forget what it was called, but people who were into computers and gaming back then will know it. And one of the things they would do in this magazine is they would have codes for games.
yeah.
And
Cheat
literally, if you
codes,
like
yeah.
wanted the game, not cheat codes,
Oh,
no, literally to program the game
oh,
to
okay.
have the game. And I can remember my foster dad and I sitting there for hours typing out this code from the magazine for Qbert. It was a game,
Yeah,
and then playing it. And there was something about programming your own game and then being able to play your game that was interesting. That's the one that I can recall being the first game I can recall playing. And I love the Commodore 64. I played so many great games on that.
nice. So how did you decide on like what content you're gonna be streaming and what you won't be streaming?
I decided that I play stream games that interest me, that I, and I'd watch other people play. So I'm not a streamer that will play the latest thing right away because I need to see it first. So I'll
Yeah,
watch other people and get the gist of it and go, does this seem like it'll be fun to me? And if it is, and I think it would be, then I get it. And I'll announce on the Discord, hey, I'm
yeah,
playing this. And if it's a community game, I'll say, do you want to join or whatever? Yeah.
yeah,
As long as I think it'll be something interesting to me, that's basically how I
yeah,
decide, really.
yeah.
What I don't play is anything that doesn't interest me, basically. I don't tend to play a lot of like high action games. Fortnite is probably as crazy as I get, and that
Oh
is
yeah,
non-build because I wouldn't even look at I don't know how people to this day play Fortnite. My
yeah.
hat off to them when they play the build mode, and
Oh God,
I don't know
yeah.
which way is up. But when I saw non-build and how fun it looked,
Zero
I
build,
was like,
yeah,
yeah, but that's as crazy as I get.
yeah. But you have, or like, are you willing to try the Lego Fortnite sometime?
Um, I would probably join somebody else's server. I wouldn't create my own.
Okay,
I've again seen people play it.
yeah,
Um, I've never been a Minecraft fan. Again, I've watched people play it.
yeah.
Um, it's not say you know me. I like survival games like The
Of course,
Forest,
yeah,
but I don't know the Lego one. It wouldn't interest me to play it on my own or to set up my own world. I
yeah,
would play on somebody else's if they asked me.
yeah. So speaking of survival games, there's a new game that's out. It's not Power World, don't worry. It's
That's the first one that came to my head.
no, it's Enshrouded. I don't know if you've heard of it, but people are saying
Oh,
it's
I
like
haven't.
kind of like Diablo, Valheim with a horror aspect and a survival thing as well, I think.
Hmm.
So, if you ever like were to like get it, would you be streaming this?
I would have to see.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
would, I would have to see it. If somebody
Yeah.
gifted to me, I would try it out. Whether
Okay.
I streamed it or not would depend.
Okay. Yeah.
The thing for me
Yeah.
is I stream for the fun of it. To me, it's a pleasure project. I've always said I don't do it for
Yeah.
the money or anything. Not that I'm not grateful for the subs and bits and those things that come with it.
Yeah.
I'm reticent to do it to play something for the sake of it because if it becomes a chore, then I'm not going to enjoy it anymore. And games to me are
Yeah.
meant to be fun first and foremost. And streaming is an extension of that where I can share it with other people
Yeah.
who have like-minded games.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what would? Oh, hold on. So you do something called Bean Boozled on stream. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Tell me a little bit of how did you come across this? Why do you torture yourself into this? Actually.
Well, I came across it because I saw other streamers do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I did it for a couple of reasons. One was I felt, well, if people are giving me money, it was a nice little thing to kind of give back in the moment, like an instant kind of thank you. Because as you said in my introduction, I have a cheeky, sarcastic, dry sense of humor. I can
Yeah.
troll and all that with the best wishes. I'm not like an asshole troll that,
Yeah.
does it to,
Just
kill
troll.
people
Yeah.
and be a jerk.
Mhm.
It's fun and there's laughter and again, it's an extension of the fun that you have.
Yeah.
So, and I also believe that if you can't take it, don't dish it out. So for me, it's, I've got to be able to participate too. I can't just joke and have fun and do it to other people.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it when it happens to me. I genuinely enjoy it. I like taking the mick out of myself just as much as I can take the mick out of someone else.
Yeah. So you played stuff other than Fortnite and other than Phasmophobia. Besides
Yes.
those two, like what are your other favorite games to play as well?
I really enjoy, although I haven't played it in a while, I really enjoyed The Forest. There was something about that
Yeah.
survival game
Both
that,
games, yeah.
um, yeah,
Same.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Ironically, I played the first one a lot more than the second, and anyway,
Yeah.
what's up? I mean, I played some other ghost hunting games as well.
Yeah.
Demonologist, I really enjoyed, and I know that's a fave of yours.
Yep.
Um, there's been some other ghosty ones I haven't enjoyed as much.
Yeah. And lately you've been enjoying Lethal Company somewhat.
Forewarned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As
Lethal
well.
Company, yes.
As well. Yeah.
A
Uh,
very in games like this, this is why I like games like Lethal Company and Phasmophobia is
yeah.
they're very unique,
Hmm.
right? Like there wasn't a game like Phasmophobia that I'm aware of before it came. And same with Lethal Company. I mean, there's a part of me that goes, what goes on inside this programmer's head to create this game? And my understanding
Yeah.
is it's a programmer, one person that created it. But there's such creative elements, like you're in the future going to a planet to pick up junk to take it back to a company and fight monsters. And on the surface you go, what a silly concept. Why would I be interested? But then when you see it, and the key for me about it is it's a community game. I find it's boring if I play it solo. Unlike Phasmo, I can do it either way, but I like community games when I'm streaming.
Yeah.
Lethal is fun in a group. And I love that laughter and the silliness of it, and there's a ridiculousness of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's creative, very creative, I think,
So how many
and
hours?
simple.
Yeah, sorry. How many hours a day or a week do you spend on Twitch?
Streaming or
Both.
lurking?
Maybe I'll combine if you can.
Well, streaming. I used to stream two days for about 4.5 hours, Fridays and Saturdays. Now I've reduced that to just Fridays, but increased it to 5 hours, and
Hmm.
that's to make sure I have a work-life balance. Lurking, I lurk a lot because I do like to support a lot of people. So I know that I can lurk two streamers and that counts towards their views, and it's a way for me to support them, but also for me to keep in touch in it, when I have time.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. Like I work a lot from home, so I'm constantly lurking the whole day. I can't talk to them, as you know,
Yeah.
often, but sometimes I can. I'll get a little bit of time, a
Yeah.
break, and I can chat. But there's a lot of hours lurking. Definitely a lot of
Yeah.
hours lurking.
So you have a lot of mods. I'm also one of them, but like, can you tell
Hmm.
me briefly, like, about at least a few of them or each one of them? How did you come across them?
Oh gosh. How did I come across you, Lucy? I'm trying to
Uh,
remember that now. You might have to
you
refresh my memory.
you were I was in Tower Twigs like a stream one day, and you asked me like, I don't know what we're talking about, but like you just asked the question like, would you like to mod for me? I'm like, yeah, I would love to.
Oh, did I? Okay, I don't even recall. Okay, and we met on Towers. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
No, we've met on Wiz before, but Wiz's
Wiz, yeah,
channel.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think she raided over to someone, or she played with someone that I also happened to be like to have been a mod there in his channel
Mm-hmm.
in January, like before we met. She was playing with him, and then he raided over to her. So that's how I met her, and the story the story is history now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have been a brilliant mod, and I let me just say that you've always been incredibly supportive, always there. To the point sometimes I wonder, do you take time for yourself? Because I know you mod for a lot, but I am eternally grateful to your help and your support and your friendship.
Well, I'm happy.
Um,
I'm happy to be there, and yes, I do take time for myself, and I
Good.
just basically that's like my source of entertainment as I get away from everything, basically.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Okay.
it's not a chore for me.
Um, SC, of course. Gosh, and again,
Yeah,
gosh, she's probably going to hear this. I don't remember. She might have to remind me. I just know that she's part of Everbright, the same
yeah,
community I'm part of. And again, it was Phasmophobia. That much I know. And I love the Dutch, as everybody knows, Netherlands'
yeah,
favorite country. And she's been a brilliant mod and again, stream friend. I feel like I know her, and we have yet to meet, although I'm looking forward to meeting her at TwitchCon this year.
you mentioned that. Yeah,
I've got Becky's, and she's from Sweden. I've known her a while, and she's been a great support. And we've had a lot of conversations off stream, and I've supported her through some challenging times too. Shelky is my very first, and she is the reason why I stream. In that she's also part of Everbright. But she literally, I'll never forget it. She spent like 4 hours one day from Australia, and I'm in Britain. Time differences, helping me step by step. So how do I set this up and that? And
yeah,
I'm eternally grateful to Shelky for her support and her friendship.
yeah.
Gosh, I hope I didn't miss anyone. I think I have a couple other mods.
Willow.
Is Willow? Okay, so I've got other mods like Willow and even Wiz and Fred the Random, and they are all early people. Like they were like my first.
I think Vex as well. Or
Yeah, yep. Vex,
yeah.
and Vex is my mysterious mod. Vex, he'll go quiet, and I don't see him for a while, and then the
Oh
next
yeah.
thing you know, I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden somebody's banning bots, and I look down and it's Vex. I'm like, oh hi Vex.
Or
He doesn't even
recently
say
me.
hi. He
Or
just,
recently me,
huh?
maybe. Like banning bots and stuff.
Well, you do it, but you say hi.
Oh,
You'll be like, "How are
okay.
you doing?" He doesn't say anything. There's no sound alerts, nothing. He doesn't even try
Yeah.
to jump scare me. It's just this spot's been banned. I'm just seeing this list on my chat, and I'm like, "What's going?" Oh, Vex. Okay, he's cleaning house. But Willow and Wiz and Freddie and there's a few others. I made them mods
Yeah.
with no obligation. And I said, look, I'm not expecting you to be here and all that. It's just if you happen to be in my stream and you see something that, somebody that needs to be banned or taken care of and you want to, feel free to. What it was more to say is I trust your judgment. And
Yeah.
that's the thing with all the mods is I have to trust your judgment because you're going to be making decisions in my stream and about my ground rules. And if I think, you're somebody I can and you don't mind, fair enough. But there's no obligation.
Yep. 100%. Uh, so to the new people out there who just started streaming or are thinking about it, what's one advice you want to give them?
Well, I could give a few pieces of advice, actually. One is be clear about your motivations and your objectives.
Mhm.
In particular,
Mhm.
if you're going to be doing it as a career, if that's your motivation, be of no illusion of the immense amount of time and effort that it will take to get to that place. It's easy when you look at a big streamer and go, I want to be that and I want to be that tomorrow. I'm sure if you talk to them, they will tell you how long it took to get and all the effort
Yeah.
that they put in to get there. And I say that because I've seen so many burn out trying. And also, the second thing is be clear about, when I say about what your goals are, is because I also see others forcing themselves to do things that isn't in their comfort zone or their lane. And I don't mean stay in your comfort zone, don't stretch yourself.
Yeah.
But I say stay in your lane, meaning don't go, oh, I want to be that person and try to copy them. You got to be your own person. You might take things that you like about other people and you make it your own. That's fine.
Mhm.
But trying to be someone else is not only disingenuous, it will never work and it'll burn you out. And I've seen this happen time and time again to so many streamers. There's many I've seen come and go. Lovely people. It's burned them out. It's really had a
Yep.
profound impact on their mental health.
Yeah.
So be very clear about your reasons and your motivations. That's why I say I play games that I enjoy.
There's also something else you told us. Don't look at the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, especially nowadays, it's all about, how many likes and this and that.
Yeah. The clout.
And it's
We can call it that.
the what?
The clout. It's like a word for like fame, or like maybe if you do something. It's like a modern
Okay.
word, CLOUT, clout. It's more of like something like, ooh, oh yeah, this is famous, I want to do it. Or like you want to be famous, you want to have like,
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
that. I know the word.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just never used it. I heard it used in that context. Okay,
Okay.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, and I understand the appeal. Everybody, we want to feel special, and we are in our own way. And that's not just me trying to be lovely and nice and airy-fairy. It's true. But you have to be you. You can't try to
Yeah.
be someone else that you're not. It's one thing to say, I look up to this person. They inspire and motivate me, and I would like to be like them, as in that's where I see my life going towards, because it speaks to you, your essence. It's another to go, I want to be famous and they're famous, so I want to do that because I just want the fame of it. But then you're doing something that's disingenuine to you. That doesn't work. And even when it does work, it's never sustainable, because you're rubbing against your own nature, what makes you who you are, unique and special. And so coming to the numbers, I get the appeal, but people come and go. Sometimes you'll have higher numbers and lower numbers. For me, just and I can only speak for myself, focus on having a good time first and foremost. People will be drawn to that. People will
Yeah.
know when you're being disingenuous and you're trying to force yourself, and they'll see it, and my heart goes out to people when I see that. It kills me inside to see them do that. When you're focusing on the numbers and such, just when you're having a good time, that'll draw people in. When you do what you do well, that will draw people in, and you should see your numbers go up as a consequence.
Yeah.
But don't focus on it.
Yeah. So you also do reading streams from time to time. How did you come to that decision?
Um, a couple of reasons. One is I get a lot of compliments on my voice, which is funny because, like most people, I don't see it in myself, but it is my voice and I'm used to it. It's with me all the time.
Yeah.
But people find it kind of calming, reassuring, those sorts of things. I've had ASMR and
ASMR,
stuff.
yeah.
And it was also a combination of, I know a lot of people, and I know we're going to talk about mental illness a little later on, but I found a lot of people on Twitch have mental health
Yeah.
difficulties, but also a lot suffer from insomnia and sleep deprivation. So I thought it was a good way of combining the two of, if you want something on in the background, and I get that, to listen, but it's something to help you either calm and relax or just even kind of fall asleep to, I'll just read a story. And it was a way of also sharing stories and also hearing them myself. I mean, I never read the Nurse Matilda books, which is the Nanny McPhee movies are based on, before. So
Yeah.
A, I get to hear it myself, and B, I get to kind of share it. And yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna go to the second segment now.
Lose the recording.
Nope. No. It's there.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to segment 2, which is lightning round or pop quiz. It's nothing like too harsh. So, do you mind telling me and the listeners what's your daily routine, like something you always like to do that has become a regular to you?
Meditation.
Nice. So, what's your favorite meal or food of all time?
Oh, just one. I hate this question. Sushi. It always comes to mind. I love it.
Well, I'm not gonna say mine because you already know it and you don't like it.
It's not ketchup on rice, is it?
No, pineapple pizza.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Almost
Well,
as bad.
Well, sorry about that, but like it's better than the eye thing that we were talking about the other day.
Oh, let's not go there.
Okay.
Nobody needs to hear that.
Okay. So, what's one thing you tell yourself often?
Something
You tell yourself very often?
I tell myself often.
Hmm.
Oh, that's an interesting question. What do I tell myself often?
We can skip it if you're like having brain
I,
fog.
I, I am. I'm trying to think. What do I tell myself often?
For example, like for me, I tell myself like you have stuff to do, just get them done. You'll enjoy it later. So
Well, I do tell myself that, but there's so many things I tell myself. Probably
Yeah.
too many things.
first thing that maybe comes to mind.
Well, the one that first came to mind is it was along the lines of just keep going and stretching yourself.
Hmm.
And particularly around difficulties, not getting mired in it, which is all too easy to do. So I'll go with that.
Yeah. So if you ever were to be any creature, alive or fictional, what would you be and why?
Any creature, alive or fictional? I don't know. I'll probably say Captain Kirk. I'm a big Trekkie.
Yeah.
Uh, why? I just thought he was the best captain. I just loved how confident he was. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, Captain Kirk.
Nice. To me, it would be maybe a unicorn with wings.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So what's your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve. Just people who are disrespectful, like and I know
Yeah.
that you tend to have to define that word a little bit more, but what I mean is I don't like it when people are just disrespectful, especially for the sake of it. It does really grind me.
Yeah. So if this was the last day on Earth ever, what would you do and how would you spend it?
I know where I'd want to be. I'd want to be in Amsterdam. I'd want to hopefully be with a lot of friends. One of my greatest memories, and it would be happy to recreate it with them, is just sailing down a canal. We had like wine and cheese and all of that, and it was just a really chill, nice time, and it was beautiful surroundings, and I was calm and I was at peace, and I was surrounded. It was for a birthday I had celebrated years ago, and I was surrounded by great friends, and it's one of my fondest memories. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. So what's one thing you cannot live without?
Air.
Okay, you got me on this one.
One thing I can't live without. What is a normal go-to for me? I can't live without. Trying to think. Probably a lot of things. These are interesting questions. What could I not live without?
For me, it's probably maybe my PC or my phone, for example.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that. I was looking at them and then I was questioning myself. Could I live without? I suppose I'll say my phone, because my phone is
Yeah.
the way I keep in contact with everyone. And
Yeah.
if I didn't have that, yeah, I'll say my phone.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, what do you think is the worst invention ever?
A nuclear bomb.
Interesting. What's your utmost favorite game to play ever, either on or off stream, like a comfort game? Doesn't have to be like Phasmo or anything, like just a chill game.
Asmo. It's a chill game. I
Oh,
play it all the time off stream.
well, okay.
Another one I play on my phone is sometimes I'll play solitaire or tower defense
Oh,
games.
wow. Yeah. Mine would be lately, like between shifts, is like Lego Fortnite. Like for example,
Mhm.
when I have like time off, I just wind down and play a little bit. Grind here and there, maybe Disney Dreamlight Valley.
No
Uh,
Pokemon?
uh, Pokemon, yeah, I'm kind of like more into Power World lately, but yeah,
I've noticed.
yeah.
That game is kind of like Pokemon meets kind of Minecraft or sort of,
Valheim,
right?
yeah, Valheim, but like they have guns.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm really interested in seeing you play that at some point.
I can tell. It's funny, a good friend of mine back home, we've been friends, gosh, like 32 years now. Wow. And he plays Fortnite, so sometimes that's how we talk,
Yeah.
is we'll play Fortnite together and just chat and catch up. And he wanted me to check it out. I was like, nah, let's just play the regular. So I will check it out at some point.
Yeah. Um, What's the worst video game you've ever played?
The worst.
Uh,
Worst video game I ever played.
to me, it's probably because maybe I'm like a one tone guy, but to me, it's probably Call of Duty.
Okay, I've never played it actually. Um, there must be one. Let me check my Steam list. I need to cheat a little bit. Worst game I ever played.
It's okay. Cheating is okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're gonna get there. You're gonna perhaps like there's like a small mini game later on. You're gonna find like harder questions on there.
Oh, great. This is the easy round?
Yeah,
Oh, this is going to be the most difficult. Okay.
it's gaming. It's a gaming mini game. So
I don't know. I guess I'll go for just looking on my list because
yeah.
what is it called now? Ghost Exorcism. I played it
yeah.
for like briefly.
Ghost Watchers.
No, Ghost Exorcism. It used to
Okay.
be called something else
Yeah.
when it first came out, and I played it when it first came out.
Yeah,
And it was one of the very first after Phasmo, maybe even
Yeah.
the first ghost hunting that came out.
yeah,
And the ghost always hunts you, so I just kept getting annoyed, going, "Would you just piss off and leave me alone? I just want to look around first." Like
Yeah.
I felt like I had this ghost always at my ankles, and that one.
yeah.
We'll go with that one.
So, what's one thing you spend a lot of money on besides games?
And bills, rent.
Bills.
Um,
Okay.
I like to save my money, and then I like to take nice trips,
That's nice.
and I
So
like to have nice food.
that's nice. So what's one of your all-time favorite songs?
Um, hmm.
It's either something by
Johnny Cash
Johnny
or
Cash
Dolly
or
Parton.
Dolly. I was gonna say that, yeah.
um, from Johnny Cash, I would probably say "A Boy Named Sue." It's more of a story
Oh,
song, but then again, country's music is like that.
yeah.
From Dolly, I would probably
Jolie.
say no, not Jolene. I mean, Jolene's a good song. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I'd probably say "Wildflowers,"
Oh,
and
wow.
it's because there's a real childhood connection to that song and the lyrics for me.
Wow. Yeah. Uh, if you weren't a gamer and if you weren't on Twitch, where would you see yourself?
Well, probably kind of where I am now. I mean, I kind of do these on the side, so I
Yeah.
still be a social worker. Maybe I might have a bit more time to focus on that,
Okay.
but I mean, it doesn't occupy so much of my time. I don't want to make it sound like that because it's really I enjoy it and it's a
Yeah.
nice break from work and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, probably just doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah. What would you do with $500,000?
Only half.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, I'd probably buy myself a nice home. I mean, ideally, again, my ideal with that money is I would buy myself a very nice flat in Amsterdam in one of the old canal houses, probably a top floor because they all tend to have the highest ceilings, but a very nice view overlooking a canal somewhere in I'm going to butcher the name, but I'll say Jordan. I was about to say the canal name. My Dutch isn't great.
Yeah.
In the Jordan district of Amsterdam, for those who know it.
Okay. Okay. So what's one thing you would change about your life?
it's something that I'm working on now, which is I want to be a psychotherapist, and I probably would have started that sooner than I have.
Hmm.
I've done some other training, which
Yeah.
we can talk about, I guess, a little later on that. But
Yeah.
I've wanted to, for quite some time now, switch from what I'm doing in social work to move more into psychotherapy.
Okay. So if your life was ever to be either a song, a movie, a TV show, or a video game, what would it be named and why?
Mhm. These are really good questions. A song or a movie about my
Yeah.
life?
Mine would probably be What the Fuck is Going On?
Okay. Um, I would probably, I'm going to steal a line. Well, it would actually be the song I just said, Wildflowers. And if I had to make
Nice.
it into a movie, the line I would take out of it is, wildflowers don't care where they grow.
Nice. So out of these, coffee, tea, or hot chocolate, what would you pick?
Coffee, tea, or hot chocolate?
Mhm.
Coffee, hands down.
All right. What about soda, juice, or sparkling drinks?
Juice.
Same. Well. So if you had one special superpower, what would it be and why, and how would you use it?
Um, Maybe it's one of two things. It's either to be invisible or to fly.
Oh, nice.
Um, and invisible so I could go anywhere I wanted.
Hmm.
Not to be like a creep or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's not about, but I could go anywhere, and obviously I could do it. I mean, if you think about it, you could, any kind of concert or whatever you wanted to go to, you could get in free because nobody knew you were there.
Yeah.
So you could just, go any place you wanted and experience anything you wanted.
Yeah.
And to fly, because to me, it's the ultimate form of mobility. You could just, anywhere in the world. I often look up at birds and go, I'm a bit jealous because you can literally just fly anywhere.
Yeah.
I look up and see planes in the sky, and in my head so many times, because I love to travel, it's, where are you people going today? What adventure are you about to embark on?
I look at the planes that are coming back to here. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? Go back.
Wrong
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah. Um, or whatever you're coming here for, it's not worth it. Go back.
What about when they're leaving?
Well, take me with you. I'm stranded here. Yeah. Mine would
Room for one
probably
more.
mine would probably be teleportation.
Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah. But I don't think teleportation should be given to everybody because otherwise people would abuse it. So you have to earn it in
Okay.
some sort of way, in my opinion. Like you have to be in a certain situation in life to be able to have this, or maybe it's just like a one thing, like a one person thing, or a one man song or something. I don't know. So
You have to earn it?
yeah. Um, either or, maybe
Okay.
because
Because you
like
did say give it to yourself.
yeah. Uh, did I? I don't know what I say. Anyways, so what's one quote that you can't forget or have seen, heard, and go by?
Well, you know me, I can turn around and get
Yeah,
so many because I do love my quotes.
yeah.
Um, I think from all the ones, can I pick a couple? Or
Yep.
do I have to pick just
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
All right. There's a few for me, so I'll pick each one and I'll explain why, because there's lots on my wall here. But one is, silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. And I've had to learn that in my own life to just be with the silence, and I've recognized through that the power of it, and the answers that do come, both for myself and from others. The second is from Mark Twain. I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. And it's a reminder that we all have a lot of worries, and for myself as well. But actually, how many of those actually come to fruition?
Wow. Yeah.
And the third, which might sound a bit ironic because I am an atheist, but I still see wisdom in lots of places, is serenity prayer. Which is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Which, the brief version of that is picking and choosing your battles in life. And it's one that I remind myself sometimes, especially if you're facing, or for myself, if I'm facing a difficult situation where it's frustrating and I feel powerless, but then I have to remind myself what is within my power right now and what isn't. And I have to just accept the things that aren't, because the reality is they're not in my power and control. But where I've kind of got frustrated and just kind of maybe whinged and moaned in the past, what I've tried to get better at is going, but there's still certain things. I still have control over myself. What is it that I can do? It's not going to be perfect or ideal or exactly what I want, but that doesn't mean I can't make some kind of a difference. What could that be?
Yeah. So since the new year has been here for a while now, what are some of your plans for 2024?
Moving back to Canada. That's the big one.
So if you could choose where you'd be born, what country would you pick and why?
The Netherlands, because I love the Dutch. I fell in love the first time I went, and it's always, I visited there more than any other place I've traveled to. I love the Dutch. I love the way of life. I love the language. I love the beauty of that city, and I also, one of the things I love about the Dutch is they're just, I like people who are just very forward. And the Dutch are very forward people. Sometimes people think it's rude. It's not. It's just being very blunt. And I tend to be that way myself. So it's something I quite appreciate.
Yeah.
And I love.
Well, mine would be, ironically, Ireland. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me why. I'm curious.
Maybe because I've seen pictures of it. I've heard a lot of it about it. It's kind of like a very beautiful, very pretty place. It's like, I don't know, like the Irish people are like crazy but calm. Like the way they talk, the way they live. It's a very interesting culture, and I would love to visit there, or at least like live there, maybe towards the end of my life, at some point. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, it sounds like something to plan at least a holiday there.
Yeah. So who's your all-time celebrity crush?
Celebrity crush. For some reason, the first one that came to my head was Chris Pine.
That's
and again, that might be the Star Trek connection, but yeah, he's good looking.
Yeah.
And Chris Hemsworth is another one, and I like him also because they seem to have good attitudes.
Yeah.
It's not just the look; it's the attitude. It's a full package to me.
Was it Liam or Chris that was married to Miley Cyrus at some point? His brother, maybe?
I don't know.
I think it's Liam. Yeah. Yeah. So since we're talking about celebrities, if you had the chance to switch live with one celebrity from today, who would you pick and why? Like celebrity who's still alive.
Celebrity that's still alive.
Mine would be a little bit like a shock to everybody, but probably either Kim Kardashian
Hmm.
or just my favorite singer, of course, Kelly Clarkson, or maybe even Charlie Puth, because I like to see how their lives, and I like 2 out of 3 of these, and I would
Hmm.
really be interested in seeing how they really live.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know Kelly was your favorite singer. Okay, I've got
she
mine.
is. She is.
Ricky Gervais,
Nice, nice.
my favorite
So
comedian.
yeah, my favorite comedian, by the way, is what's her name? Uh, Jessica Kirson.
Mm.
She's one of the funniest people. Like she could be like I don't know. She doesn't
Jessica
prepare.
Kirst.
She goes and improvises, but like you could see her talking, then randomly doing like voices like, "Oh, you like that?" Like for example, she's crazy funny. Like one time she said, "Do you want me to fart so you'd feel safe?" For example, and I almost like peed myself. Like I don't usually laugh like that often or that much. Even like
Hmm.
try not to laugh challenges, I would win them, but something about her like makes me laugh a lot. I don't know, like she pokes fun at people in a sort of way that one of them told her that he doesn't know her and why are you even talking to me? I don't know. And she's like, oh well, come to the stage. I would love to see that. And like she kind of like I'll send you some videos later, but she kind of like uh, made him like her at the end.
Okay,
Yeah. Uh,
I've never heard of her.
yeah, I came across her from Twitch, not Twitch, YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, and from a short, I was like, "Who's that? Who's that woman?" Because I was introduced to a gay comedian called Matteo Lane. He's also
Hmm.
so funny. Oh my God! Like, yeah, which funny enough, she happened to have given a gig where he gave a gig one time, so that led to this, and yeah, uh,
And they fed off each other,
I don't,
so to
I
speak,
yeah, I hope they
or
do,
bounced off each other. I should have
yeah,
said.
yeah. I hope they do a collab at some point.
Mm.
Uh, but since the hold on, there's a question. Since the new year has been here for a while, what are like what would you implement again? Since you said you wanted to change a few things, uh, what would you implement? What would you remove? What would you like maybe switch around in your stream?
Um, if I had the time,
Yeah,
there's been several things because it's been an ongoing project, and I feel like I've neglected it a bit. But there are things like I would like to work on paring down a lot of my channel point redeems. I think I have too much for it to be practical.
yeah,
Um, there are more interactions because I got rid of Dick Spurs. It's too glitchy, but people were telling me when I was doing Lethal Company, there's a new, and I've seen it. There's a new mod.
yeah.
What's it called? Crowd
Uh,
control, I
Crowd
think.
control, yeah. It's
So
not a
time
mod,
to
it's more
explore that.
like Twitch integration. And
Yeah,
yeah, it kind of takes a little bit of like a big space on the screen, but it can be like dimmed.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. Which is why I don't kind of like them on the screen. But anyway,
yeah.
um,
There might be a way for it to be like a pop-up window, which I've seen happen, but I don't know.
so things like that, like
Yeah,
I would like to kind of have some of the, update some of the interactions, like even Tangia, I've done some stuff, but I know that I need to keep working at these things. There's a lot of effort, as you will well know, that goes into streaming. And
yeah,
it's one thing I'll say is if you've never streamed before and you're just a viewer, you know, I always say my hat off to any streamer. There's a lot of effort that goes into it to
I
make it
know
look,
the
especially to make it
challenge.
look,
Yeah.
yeah, to make it look seamless as well. So it's things like that where I just kind of like to, polish it up a little bit. By and large, I'm quite happy where it's at. You know, but yeah, there are some things like that I would like to work on.
Yeah.
Another thing I've often thought about, Lucifer, is doing kind of what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Is having more conversations on stream rather than and possibly doing it whilst playing games.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I've talked a lot about it with people like even Essie and Shelky and such. So it's just something. If I had the time, I just kind of like to,
Yeah.
buck down and do it.
I think there might be a way to do that, like maybe just something on screen that pops up, like while you're playing the game, like highlights. If someone, for
Mm-hmm.
example, has something important to tell you, at JR, for example, those, for example, at would pop up on the screen, like on the bottom of the screen, if you like were able to read them or notice them. But if like
Mm-hmm.
we're having conversations, you can catch up with it later. I've seen that in the stream, but I didn't want to ask them because I think they were partnered, so they had like a shit ton of viewers. So
Oh,
yeah,
well, you never know. I mean, doesn't hurt to ask.
yeah. Okay. So now we're gonna move to the mini game. So I've added a fun little mini game before we get intense and serious on the mental health in the next segment.
Mm.
So this mini game, I will name at least a set of three games each time. You will tell me which one you'd play forever, like repeatedly, delete from existence, or
Uh-huh.
uninstall, like play once, then never touch again.
Are these games I'll know?
Uh, Probably.
Okay.
So
Probably is the operative word.
let's start with Call of Duty, Counter Strike, and Battlefield.
My preference is delete all three because
Yeah, same.
um, sorry, delete, play once, play forever.
Yeah. Play once, then
God,
uninstall, and then play forever, or like keep playing it.
I
And
guess I would have to put
by play
Call of
once, I
Duty.
mean like one playthrough and that's it.
Okay, well, for the play forever one, I guess I'd have to go Call of Duty. It's the one where I've actually seen people play it.
Uh huh.
And I would know at least a couple of people I could play it with.
Yeah.
Um, and honestly, take your pick with the other ones because I would just delete them both. Whether I played it once it was Battlefield and Counter Strike.
Counter Strike.
Counter Strike, play once and delete, and then the other one just delete.
Okay. Apex, PUBG, or PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and Fortnite.
Okay, so PUBG, Apex, Fortnite. So Fortnite, obviously, play forever because I
Yeah.
do enjoy playing that.
Yeah.
Um, sorry, I keep forgetting. So one is you don't play at all, and the other one you play and delete.
Yeah. One is delete from existence. One is like
Mhm.
play once and uninstall, and one is like play a lot or play forever.
All right. So I'm gonna go. Because I've seen PUBG and it's kind of close to Fortnite. I'll say play once and then
Yeah.
uninstall. And Apex, I've seen lots of people play. It's just too crazy for me. So yeah, that will go into the third slot.
Yeah. We're going into the horror territory with Doom, Quake, and Diablo, and that includes all of the franchise. When I name one game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because I know the originals. Well, Quake is Doom.
I don't think that it is. No.
It is definitely 100%. That I know because it was the last version of Doom I played.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So, would you play or delete any of the Doom or Quake versions?
Um.
uninstall, keep forever.
So I used to love Diablo. I played the first one.
Hmm.
So I will probably say I think I. Gosh. Let's put Diablo in the keep forever.
Okay.
But I did play a lot of the original Doom when it came out. So I'll say play once and uninstall, even though
Okay.
that's a lie. I played it more than that. But Quake, I never really liked that much. So say
Okay.
delete from existence.
Okay. Now here's the danger zone: Phasmophobia, Demonologist, and Ghost
Mm-hmm.
Watchers, and we know the answers.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, you tell me the answer then.
Phasmophobia, play forever. Demonologist, play once and then uninstall. And Ghost Watchers or Ghost Exorcism, if we can replace it with that, delete forever.
You know me too well.
Hmm. So Pokemon, Pal World, or something like it called Palia.
Pally, I think I've seen people play that. I know I've seen people play that. Pal World is the latest craze. I would say because I've never been a big Pokemon fan, so I'm gonna go Pal World. I would play,
Hmm.
I guess, forever because I do like the survival build
Yeah.
concept of it.
Yeah.
Then I'll put sorry, it was Pokemon, and what was the other one again?
Palia, which is kind of
Oh,
like
Pally.
yeah, a grinding survival game, but it's kind of like dying down now.
Let's put that play once and uninstall, and then man, I'm not going to have any fans, am I? Pokemon delete from existence.
Fair enough. So The Sims, Disney Dreamlight Valley, Stardew Valley.
The Sims, I remember playing the first one, so I'll say play that one forever. Stardew Valley. Sorry,
Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Disney. I'm gonna go. I probably play Stardew before Disney. So I'll put
Okay.
Stardew, play once and uninstall, and then again, sorry, because I know you love it a lot.
It's fine.
Disney delete.
It's fine. It's fine. Visage, Madison, or Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay, you got me on the back foot because I've heard of all three, but I've only can recall anyway seeing for Freddy's.
Yeah.
So I'll say play Five Nights at Freddy's. Keep
Hmm.
that one. Visage.
Essie played it at some point, I think.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what it was. So let's put that one as play once and then uninstall,
Okay.
and then
And
the other one
Madison.
delete. Madison
Okay.
delete.
Okay.
And again, I know if I see these games, I'll recognize them, but
Yeah. Yeah. Dead Island, Left for Dead, Dying Light. All zombie games.
I've I've heard of Left 4 Dead,
Mhm.
and I know I've probably seen that one. What were the other two?
Um, Dead Island and Dying Light.
I'm gonna take a pass. I have no idea what I would say to these three.
Well, funny enough, the same developers that made Dead Island made Dying Light as well. So
Okay.
yeah, so fair enough. Dead Space, Resident Evil, and The Evil Within.
I don't know Dead Space, Evil Within. Resident Evil, I'm gonna say keep because I recently just got because
Village
I
or
wasn't
yeah.
the Village, yeah, because out of all the Resident Evil franchise and the ones I've seen, there's something about that one that appeals to me, and I do intend to stream that sometime.
That will be interesting.
Yep. And then it's a toss up for the other two because I just don't know.
Okay. Pretty sure you've seen Cyberpunk,
Mm-hmm.
Grand Theft Auto, and Saints Row.
Mm-hmm. And which?
Saints Row. It's kind of
I
like
don't know that
GTA,
one.
kind of like GTA, but with a goofy and more mature and more adult theme. Like you could in Saints Row, you could either be wearing like no pants or like completely nude with like uh, of course like hiding the parts, and then you could be chasing people with like guns or stuff. You could be even like wearing a dress or like a skirt or hitting people with a dildo in Saints Row, for example. Yeah, no, for real.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, well, that seems kind of funny.
Hmm.
Again, none of them are my go-to genre,
Yeah.
so I
It's in
wouldn't even know what
general.
to
Yeah.
say.
It's in general. Yeah.
But slapping somebody with a dildo sounds fun, so we'll put that in the keep one, I guess, whatever game that was.
Saints Row. Yeah.
All right, Saints Row, there we go.
And Cyberpunk and GTA.
Uh, Whatever.
Okay.
You pick which one I play once and delete, and the other
Okay.
one delete from exist.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So the last one is Dead by Daylight, Texas Chainsaw
Hmm.
Massacre, and Evil Dead the game.
Well, I do actually have DVD. I just didn't play it much, so I'll put that in keep because I do have it.
Yeah.
Well, I need to reinstall it if I wanted to play it.
Okay.
I would say Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I might even legitimately play it once and then maybe delete it
Okay.
if I didn't have to pay for it. And then, yeah, Evil Dead. I like the movies.
Yeah.
The game was so I would just say delete from
Yeah.
existence. It didn't seem to last long either.
Mine would be obviously delete and annihilate DBD from existence. Maybe play TCM once,
Really?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, yeah, and then maybe keep playing Evil Dead the game.
I didn't know you were that opposed to DVD.
I have like some problems with it. I would play it with friends, but
Mhm.
I do not enjoy it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the final segment where
Mhm.
we will be talking about mental health and some sensitive subjects. And I apologize in advance for any heavy or triggering terms that might be used. Mental health is not an easy subject to talk about. Um, Today we're going to talk about experiences JR went through. And of course, his journey has had a lot of it happen. So I'm going to say this again, please. Some subject might seem triggering or heavy. So be well aware as you listen and feel free to either skip or dip out on this segment. If you feel uncomfortable about some subjects, you could also just end the podcast or listen to a new episode. This also applies to future ones too. So listen at your own risk. So JR, you told me you wanted to speak about like experiences that happened with you. Uh, it's all yours. Like the segment is yours. What exactly do you
Well,
want to talk about? Yeah.
huh?
What exactly? Where exactly should we start talking?
Well, I guess I could start with maybe kind of my influence as to why I think this is such an important topic to talk about and why it's
Yeah.
of such great interest to me. I mean, um, for myself, it's something that I grapple with in my own ways, and I'm still trying to understand my own mental health as well as what mental illnesses I may have that I just have not been diagnosed and those sorts of things. I know from my experience, it comes from being in care. When I was in care from
Yeah.
ages of 5 to about 12 years old, I went through 5 different foster homes, and that's had a very traumatic impact. And particularly, that's one of my big areas of interest is the impact of trauma on mental illness. One of the people that I spent a lot of time listening to and even delving deep into some of his books I just read his last one called The Myth of Normal,
Mm-hmm.
which is about how we live basically in a toxic culture today, and how it basically exacerbates mental illness. And we are seeing that very vividly in the world today. And this is Dr. Gabor Mate that I'm speaking of.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about him is he talks about his own journey with mental illness, because one of the things is I do believe I have undiagnosed ADHD. I haven't gone as far as seeking a diagnosis, but I am seeking understanding and knowledge. And I've had many periods of going through depression, and it's very much a part of me. So over the years, I've taken many opportunities to seek out counseling and therapy. And I'm about to actually delve into it again, which I can talk about in a moment.
Yeah.
But what I love about Gabor Mate is he's helped me understand kind of origins to mental illness, especially for him. It's seated in childhood trauma. Of particular interest, he talks about ADHD, and that's very much, his view. And he talks about a lot of the medical research behind it is
Mm-hmm.
about ADHD is not genetic, and that is true. That's not founded in the medical research, nor is it biological in DNA, and that surprises a lot of people. He looks at it, and he looks at the research around it as it's a coping mechanism
Very
in dealing with,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So, and when we talk about childhood trauma, by the way, this isn't just about physical or sexual abuse that might happen. It can also be mental, emotional. Even depriving a child of love and affection can be deeply, deeply traumatic to a child and their overall physical as well as mental development. And one example, and again,
Yeah.
I would encourage people to delve into him himself, is, we have basic responses, that you've probably heard of: fight, flight, freeze, right?
Uh,
As the typical responses
I
to.
don't think so.
Okay. So, as part of our survival mechanism as human beings, when we're faced with a difficult situation, there's three responses. We
Yeah.
can fight it, we can flee, run away, or you freeze
Oh,
in the
fight,
moment, right?
flee or freeze.
Or,
Okay.
yeah, fight,
Yeah.
flight, or freeze.
Flight. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And he says if you take a child, right, who's experiencing that, whether it's arguing between their parents or whatever it happens to be, whatever the experience is, what options are available to a very young child or even an infant? Well, they can't leave because they're dependent on you for survival. If they can't
Yeah.
fight, they're incapable. And certainly they can freeze, but the trouble is that's a very overwhelming, especially to a young child, especially when it's the people that are meant to care for them to do that. So the only other option is either that becomes so overwhelming that it can kill a child, literally, or they have to tune it out in order to survive, hence the attention deficit. So he argues that it's a coping mechanism, and he's very clear about this, that there's also no blame, because then that's the next thing is, well, then our parents are to blame, they're at fault. And he's very quick to say, well, no, they're a product of their parenting, and their parents are a product of it, and so on. It's intergenerational. It doesn't play a useful purpose to blame. It's about understanding and then trying to overcome. And what I love is he talks about it from his own experience, because he was diagnosed in his 50s with ADHD, and all three of his sons are diagnosed with ADHD. And he wrote a book that I'm reading now called Scattered Minds, where he wrote about it, and he goes through the research on it. And his came from being a Hungarian Jew during the Holocaust, being born. And when the Nazis came, his mom had to give him to somebody for a period of time while she sought safe exit from the country. And that took several weeks, and it was deeply traumatic to him. And the impact it had on her and her rearing of him and such. And there's a lot more that goes with that, which I'm not going to get into now. But I find it fascinating because, number one, in my work, working with, I work in social work with children and families. I've seen this, my 20 years experience countless times. I've come across so many children with ADHD,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I see the difficulties in the family. And so it was lightning to me because I've always wanted to help and help overcome. And it's also something within that I have also recognized within myself the traits. So it's, I hope I'm making sense here, but it's
Yeah.
not that I'm self-diagnosing, but I can see a lot of commonalities. And I know I'll get to a point where I will go and seek a formal diagnosis because, he's not dismissive of medication. He says that can be a good way of coping, especially in a moment. But it's also about finding other ways to learn how to basically get by, right? You can find a way to do that. And he's very clear about that. There's hope within that, especially once you know. Depression is another one. And I've had lots of moments, and I think they go hand in hand, particularly for myself, where I've had some very deep-seated lows, and I've taken myself to very dark thoughts and places. And that's when, in particularly, when it comes to SAD, seasonal affective disorders, that would set in for me around November to kind of March, April. That period always hits me really hard. And that's when I would start seeking out my own counseling and therapy for periods of 3 to 6 months. And it was a way of helping me get by, but it was also helpful for me to explore where that was coming from for me. I never thought for the longest of time in my life that it was important for me to delve into my past in order to move forward in my life. And I can still remember, the first counselor I went to that I paid for, not the first I ever went to, because, when I was growing up in care, they had me see a couple sometimes and I never continued. But, I wanted to kind of deal with where I'm at, how I'm feeling, kind of move forward. But he was going into my past. And at first I thought, why are you doing this? Why is this relevant? The only saving grace was I promised myself that I wasn't going to question or judge, because what I was also mindful of is we're two like-minded professionals. I work with a lot of therapists in my job. And I thought, you're not going to do this because that will be self-defeating. Don't basically be suspicious about how they do their job any more than you would want somebody doing that to you about how you do your job. So I made a point of trust the process and see where it goes. And by the end of it, I was intrigued to the point where I thought, okay, this has been interesting. I think there might be more here for me. Yeah. And so little by little, I've kind of delved deeper and deeper. I'm about to start therapy at the end of next month with somebody who's been trained in the approach that Gabor Mate takes, and it's called compassionate inquiry. The inquiry part is where you're curious. You ask good questions as a therapist to seek understanding, to know where the person you're helping is coming from. But doing it with compassion, understanding, and no blame and no shame. It's what it says on the tin, basically. And she's been trained in this approach. I've never done it, and I'm very curious as to where it's going to take me. But all of this has inspired me to go into this as a profession myself, because I'm very curious about what makes us tick. I've always been curious about people, very observant, hence why I'm in social work. And I've always had this deep inclination within myself to want to help others, sometimes at the expense of myself, and I've had to learn that balance, and I still have to learn that balance from time to time. That's a very long answer to your question.
Yeah, so you've spoken a lot about stuff on stream, you've given people a lot to a lot of pep talks and stuff, but going back to something you said that I just want to ask you, how Does is it is like ADHD not genetic? Like I feel like it might be genetic because I feel like one of my parents has it, but it's undiagnosed. But
Hmm.
sometimes, at some point, mom told me like maybe because we have the same blood, the same what's it called? A B and O. What are they
Blood
called?
type.
Blood type. Yeah, blood type. Uh, maybe it's because of that. Like both of them are
Hmm.
O positive. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I'm still skeptical. And to this day, I've had it for like, I don't know, 23, 24 years. Like
Hmm.
I've been diagnosed with it. But it's still a mystery to me. So, uh,
Okay.
yeah. So, what would you do in that case? Like, if you saw someone talking about it, like beating themselves down about it, like, why am I different from others? Why do I do that? What would you tell them?
Okay. You've asked several questions
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
Um, um, well, let me deal with the
yeah,
first
yeah, yeah,
couple of
yeah,
questions. Is you asked around,
yeah,
why you believe it's genetic, and I completely understand that. And again, even in my work, I see that intergenerationally as well. Parents who either have a diagnosis, or I can just kind of tell through their behaviors and mannerisms and such that they're likely to. I can't diagnose it, but you know what I mean. I can see it. So I can understand the inclination. And I didn't know this myself, right? It was a possibility. The reason why, and I'll only give a couple of examples because we could delve really deep into this, and I'm still delving deep myself. So one is, and I've forgotten his name. I can get you the name after stream. There's a psychiatrist at Harvard University that I was just watching this on YouTube, who was talking about ADHD,
yeah,
because he also is talking about the impact of diet, and in particularly processed foods and those sorts of things on ADHD, which I was kind of curious about, and I'm still listening to him more. But one of the things he points to again in the research is, he said, if ADHD was genetic, it would not explain why, since 1980 to today, there is a several fold increase in diagnosis. And that can't be
yeah,
simply explained by we have better understanding and awareness so more people get diagnosed. That doesn't explain such a dramatic increase in diagnoses. And no genetic component could do that. Plus, generally speaking, not exclusively, if it is that way, then you would expect to see pretty much everybody in a family relationship to have it. That's a little of a looser argument, that one, I will say. So it doesn't explain, in terms of the evidence that we have, why there's such a rapid increase in diagnosis. Is it genetic? If it's genetic, because otherwise you would see it should correspond with, as the population increases, you would see it correspondingly increase accordingly.
yeah.
That's part of an explanation. The other is, even within your genes, and there's a lot of medical focus, and again, this is what Gabor has helped me understand, is this might sound surprising, but genes themselves don't determine who you are. They determine your potential. There's things on your genes called telomeres, and I'm not going to get too technical, but these are the things that kind of read the information. How the information gets read in your genes is determined by your environment. So it's kind of, if I can give you a rough analogy, your genes are information. It's like walking into a library full of books.
Okay,
Now,
yeah,
books sitting on a shelf are useless. Knowledge in that's inactive is useless. It's sitting there. You have to pick up the book, read it, and then do something with the information for the knowledge to be useful. Your genes work the same way. So, depending on your environmental conditions, stresses and things like that will determine which genes get activated and not. That's actually how it works biologically. They call this epigenetics, is the field, if that
okay,
makes sense.
yeah,
So, still, even if you have that, your environment will determine how certain things get activated. And there's a slew of various medical conditions where you can see there's, as Gabor says, there's only 1% or less of genetic conditions that are actually genetic, which means if your parents have it, you will definitely also have that condition. The others, you'll have an increased chance. Another one he uses is the breast cancer gene. There's been a lot of highlighting around breast cancer, and he focuses, he kind of uses that as another example. But he said, the thing is, of women who actually have a diagnosis of breast cancer, only, I think it was 7% have the breast cancer gene. So yes, you have an increased chance if you have that genetic marker to have breast cancer, but it doesn't explain why the other 93% have it when they don't have that same genetic marker. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of. To me, at least, kind of.
So something else has to be at play in your environment in order to do that. Coming back to your last question is, what would I tell somebody who is... Can you finish that question again?
Beating themselves down, saying that I'm different because I have ADHD, or like I'm neurodivergent and people are not like accepting me.
Well, it would depend on the context, but some of the things that I want to convey to them, let's say, without being in the actual conversation, it's difficult to say specifically, I would say, but the things that I would want to convey to them and help them to appreciate is, it's okay to be different. Even though you're different, it doesn't mean that that makes you bad. There's sometimes we ought to assume that difference equals bad because you're not the same. I wouldn't want to live in a world where we didn't have difference. It would be boring. All the movies would be the same, all the music would be the same, all the games would be the same, all the art would be the same, everything would be the same. It'd be a very, very boring world to live in. And in fact, the people who live, let's say, on the periphery, for lack of a better word, of the norm, are the ones where we get our greatest diversity and richness. We need that. It's not something to be ashamed of or put aside. We need to embrace it because it's what makes our world colorful and alive. And it's so too, it widens our experience. I would also want to, convey to them that blaming yourself, it serves no purpose. What is the point? And I say this, by the way, to you. At the same point, I have to remind myself, or have good people around me remind myself of the same, because I do it to myself as well. Those are the things I'd want to, convey, and then approach it with compassion and understanding, because again, the blame doesn't, what purpose does blame serve? And this is, again, something I'm coming to more and more with myself, is what purpose will it serve to blame yourself? It doesn't change anything. It only makes you feel worse.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you overcome your difficult situation. I like to kind of help people just embrace who they are. It's one thing if you want to change something because it resonates for you.
Yeah.
It's another when you want to change because you feel you have to please someone else. And coming back to Gabor Mate, sorry I keep doing this, but another thing he said, and I think he's absolutely right on this, is he said, we have two fundamental things we need for survival in life. One is attachment. So attachment and attachment theory is about what you need to do as a child. You attach to your parent because you need that place of safety and nurturing and to raise you and, all of that to live, right? So that's a given.
Yeah.
The second is the need for authenticity, to be authentic to yourself. And again, this is another area I love about his work, is he talks about how there's a lot of different mental health illnesses, as well as neurological illnesses and physiological illnesses that people suffer because they're too busy trying to please other people and not living their authentic selves and their authentic lives.
Yeah.
and it leads to illness. It really, truly does. And that I fully believe, and I've seen numerous times in my life and experienced it.
Yeah. But yeah, like I asked this question because like at some point growing up I had to deal with let's say a little bit of hatred at school because like people were judging kind of why I was doing this, or like why, like, uh, hold on, 1 sec.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I kind of asked this question because like growing up, I had like people point at me like, oh, he takes meds. He's like, okay, he's crazy, or like he's like unwell, uh, unstable. Uh, I've had a lot of judgment from people, but somehow it kind of affected me because, of course, I was a kid, so I didn't know. But then when I grew up, I kind of like learned to embrace it, and like that's who I am. Like it doesn't change. And then I learned like a lot of celebrities have it, and a lot of people have it. So it's not something to be ashamed of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure that had an impact on you growing up as well, and
Hmm.
when you're being taunted or bullied,
Yeah.
it's something that, again, it's one of those cruel things sometimes children can do, is when they see something different, the natural inclination is
Yeah.
to stigmatize it,
Yeah.
and make it look worse.
Yeah. But I would also, now that I'm thinking of it, I would also like maybe shed a light on like something that comes with ADHD, which is impulsivity.
Hmm.
Do you think it is
Hmm.
related to ADHD, or is it like something, like you said, like not genetic, but it's also like you develop?
Um, well, I think it can be both. I think people can be impulsive, and there's certainly people who are impulsive.
Hmm.
Um, and there are other disorders around that aren't necessarily correlated to ADHD. But I do believe that ADHD, there's a greater chance of that, and I think it does exasperate it,
Yeah.
than with others. And it's
Yeah.
something that certainly, even for myself, would certainly correspond to why I also believe that I have undiagnosed ADHD.
Yeah.
Because as much as I can be in self-control, many things, there are impulsive things as well. I
Yeah.
think it can be both.
Yeah. So any
Keep
final
in
word?
mind,
Yeah.
what I would say,
Yeah.
Lucy, is, and this is certainly true, and I'm learning. I'm still
Yeah.
learning. I want to point that out.
Yeah.
And I love that you're doing this because it's helping other people, share and learn, and that's what's important.
Yeah.
Is there's no kind of one way of looking at ADHD. There are some common themes and traits, but then there's a lot of
Hmm.
diversity within that, as you will well know. You've
Yeah.
probably met other people with ADHD, and they don't exactly, behave or act the same way.
Oh yeah.
Take the
Yeah.
hyperactivity part of it too.
Yeah.
And again, this is something that I'm learning for Gabor, is in general, girls and women don't tend to portray the hyperactivity part as much as males.
Hmm.
And there's an assumption that, well, then she can't have ADHD. She doesn't have this trait. Well, hyperactivity isn't always a feature, and it's not always manifested in the same way for each individual.
Hmm.
For some, it can be fidgeting and such, but it can also manifest in other ways. And I believe impulsivity could potentially be one of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So, any final words, any final thing you want to say, any maybe giveaway numbers, names, or sites about where people can get help in this matter?
Yes. I mean, so the first thing I would say, there's another person I would say, I would mention, and particularly he has a specialty. He's another psychologist. His name is Dr. Scott Elyers. That's Eilers. I've discovered him recently on YouTube. I read his book. You heard me read an excerpt from it around Christmas time.
Is it called For When Everything is Burning?
That's the one.
I have it written down. Yeah, I want to look into getting this book.
Well, even still, you can still find him. What I love is he does YouTube videos. He does about 2 a week, and he gives very practical ideas and solutions. His specialty is moderate to severe mood disorders and depression, and he's very open that he himself has suffered from both. So he's also talking from firsthand experience, and he gives so many practical tips in every video, and he explains it so clearly. And he likes to use metaphors, as I do, because I think that helps to clear things. I highly recommend him. He's been part of my healing journey. And on that point, one thing I would like to leave people with, and again, I know I keep coming back to Gabber. He was asked this question about, oh, if you can't afford
It's
therapy,
fine.
what do you
Yeah.
do? And I remember in this interview, he said, well, can you go for a walk? Can you take a cold shower? Can you read a book? Because, and his point is, there's lots of different ways you can find self-help. And, you know, get people who speak from experience. I always say, ask good questions. And it's not like I listened to Gabber once and was like, oh, I love him. I had to listen to him a lot, and he piqued my curiosity. Like when he first said, ADHD is not genetic, I thought, okay, you've piqued my interest. I need to hear some more, and you're going to need to provide me more evidence. Now I've read a lot of him now and listened to a lot of him now, but you get my point is
Yeah.
ask good questions. That's always healthy. There's lots of places you can seek information from and get help. But the most important thing is to ask. And this is something that I'm not always good at doing. Still to this day, I've gotten better. But it's one thing to talk about everything we've just talked about.
Okay. Yeah.
It's another thing to actually do something about it and ask people for help and not feel ashamed. As Scott points out in his book, shame thrives in the dark, but when you shine a light on it, it can't thrive in the light. And that's about being open about it. And the more that we do it, it's something I love about Twitch, Lucifer, that
Hmm.
it's like a refuge, I've noticed, for those who feel on the fringes quite often, and particularly suffering from mental illness and or those who are neurodivergent, who
Yeah.
are able to come together in a non-judgmental space. And that's wonderful. But just asking for the help. Make sure to ask the help. You never know where you're going to get it from. And don't stop asking until you find it.
Hmm.
One no doesn't mean, there's nothing. And it's easy to do that because a no can hit hard. But
Yeah.
it just means it's not this person, or it's not this way, or that didn't help me. And believe me, I've delved into so many different things. Some have been helpful, some haven't. But even the ones that haven't been helpful, it's taught me one thing. That wasn't for me.
Hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
not a bad thing.
Yeah. Uh, so JR, we kind of like went over time, but I enjoyed it.
Sorry.
It's no. It's not something bad. I know I told you like an hour, but we went more because it's like very interesting uh, to talk to you. Actually, like I want to keep going, but let's say I'm pooped
I
out.
understand.
I'm pooped out. Like there's nothing
Yep.
left. So
Yep.
plus I don't want to keep you away. I know it's getting late for you as well. But thank you so
It's
much.
fine.
Thank you so much for like giving me some of your time to record this episode.
You're
Uh,
most welcome, and thank you for the invite.
any day.
I've enjoyed this
And to
more than
those,
I thought I would.
same here. To those of you who would like to check out JR's channel, it's gonna be literally like just his username is gonna be the episode title. Um, Twitch.tv/JR_cash1. Uh, you could check him out every Friday at 8 GMT, 8 p.m. GMT, or 9.
Uh, seven now on Fridays.
7. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 9 p.m. for me.
Mhm.
So that's basically it. I will see you guys around in the next episode. And until then, please take care of yourselves. And I'll see you around.